In this video, we are going to focus on learning how to use a self-coaching model. The coaching philosophy that you will learn in this training is called cause and effect coaching. Life coaching is not about treating the symptoms of a problem or a situation. Our goal is to find the root cause of each symptom. We want to explore and understand it, and then we help ourselves change it to make room for growth, fulfillment, and success. This is where the self-coaching model comes in. This is the most powerful tool to understand how our brain uses a sequence of events to create both our conscious and subconscious experiences. And this is the one tool that you will be able to come to over and over again to be able to use on any single problem or situation you want to work through or change. Now, the first rule that you must remember whenever you are going through a coaching process is that we are not here to tell you what to do with your life. That's not what we do in coaching. We do not tell people how to live. We do not tell people what is right or what is wrong. We do not impose our opinions, our beliefs, our judgments onto people. For example, as a coach, my job is to facilitate and help you see and witness your own brain in a way that helps you come to your own decisions and your own conclusions. Sometimes in a coaching session, I can advise my clients to do certain things that will help them come up with their own answers. I can advise them to work on themselves, but we do not tell people that they should quit their job or start the business or maybe leave their partners or spouses, buy things, spend or not spend money, or sign up or not sign up for different programs. The only goal of the coaching process is to facilitate you, the client, into finding your own answers. So if you are going into coaching with the expectation that someone will tell you how to think and how to live your life, then you are approaching this backwards. You also have to understand that as a human being, we are built to judge. We are built to have opinions, and we always have thoughts about what someone should or shouldn't do. So it's normal to have the expectation of wanting our friends and family to give us their opinion about what to do. But in the coaching process, our goal is for you to empower yourself by finding your own answers, by making your own decisions and taking massive action on those decisions until you create the results on your own. In this coaching process, we simply want to hold the space for us to come up with our own answers. You can create and hold that space for you, or your own coach will hold that space for you during your coaching sessions. So, learning the tool of the self-coaching model is one of the most powerful tools that you will ever have to be able to help yourself, because it allows you to break down all experiences into 5 components or categories. And I really mean past, present, future experiences. Now, let me just say that when you learn this tool, you'll probably get really excited and you'll probably want to start figuring out how to use it on other people. And many of you will want to help people, and you might even try to help people against their will and without their consent. So make sure not to do this. If you want to help people with this tool, you need to tell them what they are going to do, what you are going to do, but you need to ask for permission to coach other people's brains. So my recommendation is that when you start doing self-coaching using this tool, do it on a piece of paper, or maybe do it on your computer or on some note-taking app on your phone or tablet. Today, you are going to see me display somewhere on the screen examples of what we are going to be talking about so you can have visual support. So it doesn't have to be fancy. And when you do your own models, you can do it on a simple piece of paper so you can visually witness your own brain. Okay, let's talk about the self-coaching model. I'm going to display an image of the model on the screen. There are many diagrams of the model, but this is a basic one that you can use as you learn how to use this tool. One of the things you need to know about the self-coaching model is that there is no problem that you will ever be able to bring and won't be able to put it into a model. Let me also mention that if there is trauma from your childhood, like if there is significant trauma that you have never had therapy for, if it is something you have never had anyone witness you describing it, then it's probably an issue that you would want to look for therapy. But let me say that there are clients that have experienced trauma and have done work on the trauma. And it doesn't matter how severe it was, you can put that in the model and help you understand your own thinking about something horrible that happened to you or something amazing that happened to you. Maybe it's about having an experience you've never had. Maybe you don't have any money, or maybe you have huge amounts of money. Maybe it's something that you are struggling with, a relative, a friend, a coworker. Maybe it's a situation dealing with your sexual orientation or your culture, and it doesn't matter. You can take whatever the problem is, you pick one category or component of that problem, you put it in the model, and then we ask questions to fill out the rest of your model. When you break down your experiences, you will discover that there are only 5 things or categories or components in our experiences. Every problem or situation will have at least one of them present. So, we begin with circumstances or external circumstances. Circumstances are just facts. They are the things of the world that exist outside of us. They are things outside of our control. They are things that are objectively true, and they are neutral information. Everybody would agree on them as a fact. These include other people, events, goals, past experiences, the weather, and so on. Sometimes most of us forget that we cannot control these things. And we end up wasting a lot of energy trying to control other people or trying to change our past experiences. While we cannot control our external circumstances, the good news is that we can control everything else in the model. This means that you can decide what to think, how to feel, and how to behave. So, circumstances are just neutral facts of any problem, any situation or your own life. The more simple that you can describe your problem or situation, the easier it will be to understand your thinking around it, and the easier it will be to help you solve it. The best technique here is simply asking yourself, what are the facts of the problem? For example, if you start telling yourself that your partner is horrible, that your boss is really annoying, and that your friends don't care about you, or that your sister lost her mind the other day and was yelling at you, and then you ended up screaming back because she's horrible, then you do not really have any facts. The only facts would be that you have a partner, you have a boss, you have coworkers, you have friends, and you have a sister. We don't really know if you could be interpreting the way people talk to you as screaming. So your interpretation might be relative. We don't even know what those people told you. We don't have the specifics of it. And we don't know anything except that the fact is you have a partner, a spouse, co-workers, friends, siblings, and everything else around that is just a story that you are choosing to think and believe. Everything else is just your interpretation of the facts. It's just telling you that you are having thoughts about the facts. We need to make sure that you get as many neutral facts as you can and then separate that out from your own brain, because your brain is where all the changes can happen for you. That's where all your power will be found. You cannot change the facts of the situation that happened to you. What happened to you is done, and you don't want to try to change the past. You just want to understand what is going on in your own brain. So, circumstances are always neutral information, facts of a situation or problem. You just need to know and describe who was present in that situation. What exactly did you and the other people say? What exactly did you or other people do? That's what you need to know. You need to know what the result was of what was done. You don't need to know how someone felt, what they were thinking, and so on. Other people's opinions and feelings have nothing to do with the circumstances and facts of any situation. So you identify the facts, and then that's the circumstance. The second category or component in the model is our thoughts. And those are the thoughts, ideas, opinions, beliefs that you are going to have about the facts. Our human brain is designed to give meaning to our circumstances through our thoughts, opinions, impressions, and judgments. Sometimes you can be aware that you are choosing to think a certain way, but often we are not aware of what we are choosing to think and believe. For example, sometimes we are not aware that many of us are always thinking thoughts like, I'm not good enough, or people don't appreciate my work. So you have to understand that the root cause of anything that we perceive as a problem is always our own thinking. The cause of our problem is not the unwanted results that we are experiencing, but the thoughts that led to those unwanted results. It is your current thinking that creates your current life. So this is why we begin right there. And I promise you, if all you do for yourself is understand the difference between a circumstance, fact, and a thought, you will have already helped yourself see how much power you have in any situation or problem. If you think about an argument that you have, for example, with your sister or a coworker, we say your sister or coworker was saying words. You might not remember the exact words they said, but you do know that you are having thoughts, ideas, opinions, beliefs, and sentences in your brain about what other people said. Maybe you think they are being dramatic, or they are being crazy, or they don't care about you, and you can have a lot of thoughts about the situation. Now, if you remember exactly what the words and the facts were, then you can put that in the circumstance line. And then everything else about that is just your own thinking. And all the feelings and emotions that are created from your thinking is what will create your emotions. So here you have the facts of what happened in a situation. You have your thoughts about what is happening in that situation, the sentences in your brain, the ideas, the opinions, the beliefs, and that will create your feelings. One of the most powerful things you can do is separate the facts from the thoughts. But once you do that, then you need to see that your own thoughts are what is creating your own feelings. Here is where a lot of cognitive dissonances begin to appear, because you might believe that your feelings are being created from your circumstances, from your boss or your coworker yelling at you or doing something. If you start thinking that your feelings are created from your circumstances, you might believe that the only solution is to change your spouse or your friends or your coworkers. But changing other people is really hard. And let's say, instead of trying to change other people, instead of trying to change the circumstances, you are going to help yourself see that your thoughts are creating your own feelings, not the circumstances. So, first, you need to understand that you don't even need to change the circumstances to feel better. You just have to change your own thoughts about those circumstances. This is how you begin to reduce the emotional impact that external circumstances have over you. So, here you are with a situation. You find out what the facts of that situation are. What are your thoughts about those facts? And when you think those thoughts, what are you feeling? How are you feeling? And then you put that in the F line. Now, when we say feelings, we are talking about one word, emotions. We keep that feeling line to one word, like angry, happy, disappointed, excited, motivated, confident, overwhelmed. Some people feel more comfortable identifying the subtleties of different feelings, but many do not. That's why some people, when asked about what they feel about certain things, sometimes they just simply answer, oh, well, that makes me feel good, or that makes me feel bad. There are so many feelings, and you can find online lists of feelings. You are going to have access to different trainings just on feelings, but right now we want to look at feelings within the framework of the self-coaching model. Most people believe that our feelings come from our circumstances, and we say things like, my partner didn't clean the kitchen, so I'm very angry. The circumstance is that the kitchen is dirty. The feeling is anger. We also say, my parents are coming for a visit, so I'm really excited. The circumstances is, parents are in town. The feeling is excitement. But the truth is that our feelings come from our thoughts about those circumstances, those facts. Science tells us that our brain has over 40,000 thoughts per day, and there is no way we can be consciously aware of all of them. This means that when there is a dirty kitchen, when your partner doesn't clean the kitchen, when your parents are in town, you are simply having thoughts about that. These thoughts are what give you the anger or the excitement, not the circumstance itself. Okay, so we usually describe a feeling as energy, as vibration in the body or in certain parts of our body that is being created by a thought in our minds. We have thoughts that create an emotional reaction, an emotional feeling. And it's also important to understand the difference between a feeling and a sensation. A physical sensation is not created by thoughts. Physical sensations usually are involuntary, bodily reactions that we all experience, such as physical pain, physical pleasure, hunger, cold, hot, and so on. But our feelings, our emotions, our emotional reactions are created by our thoughts. We have thoughts in our brain that create energy, a feeling, a vibration in our body. A physical sensation happens involuntarily in our body, and then that sensation sends a signal so that the brain can create an interpretation like, oh, like, ouch, that hurts, or like, oh, I'm hungry, or I'm cold, or my back hurts. Now, when talking about feelings, the most important point to keep in mind is that feelings are usually why we think that something is a problem. And you have to understand that your feelings are not solved by wanting or forcing circumstances to change for you. Feelings are only solved and changed by changing your own thoughts. If there was one single insight out of this training, at the very least, is the understanding that your thoughts create your feelings, and that's it. So you have circumstances, which is neutral information, neutral facts. Then you have thoughts, ideas, opinions, beliefs, which are the sentences in your brain. Then you have feelings that are being released as energy or vibration in your body. And we usually use one word, emotion, to describe that energy or vibration. And then there are the actions that we take because of the feelings that we are feeling. When we say actions, we are talking about the behaviors, habits, and the things that we are doing that are driven and fueled by our feelings. This means that everything that we do and everything that we do not do is based on the feeling that is present in us, or the feeling that we believe we will experience if we do a certain action or behavior. Examples of actions can include eating when you are not hungry, but you eat because you are feeling bored or sad. Perhaps you avoid interacting with other people because you feel misunderstood. Maybe you withdraw from relationships because you don't feel appreciated. However, if you want different actions, then you have to choose different feelings. Be aware that some actions can be very subtle. For example, you could change your tone of voice when you feel you are being attacked. Maybe you don't speak up for yourself because you feel anxiety. The good news is that when you manage your thinking and take action from the feelings you want to have, then you can change your behavior for the long term and create the amazing results you want in your life. Okay. And then those actions and behaviors create our results in our lives. Results are the effects of our actions. Results are the evidence of your actions, just like our actions are evidence of our feelings, and our feelings are evidence of our thoughts. Examples of results would be having the current money in your bank account, or not having the money you want, having the physical body that you want, or not having the physical body you say you want. You may think that your results are like circumstances that have been handed to you and that are beyond your control. But the truth is that you are entirely responsible for your results because they come from your actions, which are created by your feelings, which come from your thoughts. The good news is that choosing different actions will lead you to different results. And this is really great news because thoughts are within your control. If you can witness your mind, you can gain the skill of choosing thoughts that empower you to create the results that you really want. And I'm going to repeat the last part. The skill of choosing thoughts. It is a skill that we can all develop. So here are the 5 categories or components of the self-coaching model. Circumstances, which is neutral information and facts. Thoughts, which are the ideas, opinions, beliefs, sentences in our mind that we have about external circumstances. Feelings, which are those one-word emotions that we experience as energy or vibration in our bodies, but that are being created by the thoughts in our minds. Then we have actions and behaviors that we do or do not do that create the results in our lives. This is all you need to get coaching on any experience, problem, or situation. And you could spend hours putting things in a model and then just coach yourself on getting some coaching on these models. You can grab any part of a problem. You can grab a circumstance like my partner was saying words, which is all you know in terms of a circumstance. You could grab the thoughts you are having, like my spouse was exaggerating and doesn't care about me. You can grab a feeling. You can ask yourself, how are you feeling when you think about that situation? You can identify actions and behaviors. What did you do when this situation happened? What do I do when I feel that feeling or when I want to avoid that feeling? What did I do during that scenario? And you can identify the result of that conversation or situation that you had with your spouse. You can grab any of those things and then you have a model that you can fill out. Your goal is very simple. Your goal is to fill this model up. Step one, you bring a problem, an issue, some ideas. You decide where you are going to start in your model. You can start with a circumstance, a thought, an opinion, a belief, a feeling, an action, a behavior, or a result. Once you do that, the rest is very easy. You just fill in the rest of the model by asking yourself the appropriate questions. What are the facts? What are my thoughts about those facts? What does that make me feel? What is the one-word emotion that comes to mind when I think those thoughts? What actions do I usually do when I feel that emotion? What results am I creating from those actions and behaviors? Okay, we're going to do a model around a very common situation I encounter when I work with entrepreneurs. And here I'm talking about imposter syndrome. So let's move this. Here we go. So let's imagine that someone comes to me and says, I have imposter syndrome. So where do I start? Well, this is not a circumstance. The circumstance would be something like maybe the person opened a marketing agency and currently has 0 clients. So the fact is that he doesn't have clients yet, and he's having the thought of, I have imposter syndrome. So we put that in the T line. I have imposter syndrome. This is just a sentence going on through this person's mind. So what are the facts of the situation? I usually would ask the client and they would say like, oh, I have 0 clients. So that's a circumstance. And I put it in the C line, new marketing agency with no clients. Then I can ask, why do you think you have imposter syndrome? And just give me the facts. And they probably would say something like, well, I quit my job because I wanted to start my own marketing agency and I haven't found any clients. So I have 0 clients, and that's a fact. That's how we have our circumstance in the C line. So the person is thinking, I have imposter syndrome. Now, I could guess how this person is feeling, but I would need to ask him, what do you feel when you think the thought, I have imposter syndrome? And they say, I'm afraid, I'm scared. Then I ask, what do you do when you feel afraid? And he would probably say something like, I procrastinate, or I go on social media to distract myself. I start eating junk food that I have at home, or I isolate myself from friends and family. And then I ask, and what are the results of those actions? And he would probably say something like, well, I'm not showing up and creating content to attract potential clients. Or maybe I'm not going to networking events and having conversations with potential clients because I feel like an imposter and I'm not making any money. So now you have a full model filled in. And we can have a conversation with him about this. For example, I can ask, can you recognize that when you think this thought, you feel this way? And then this is what you do. And as soon as he says that this is the thought causing him to feel afraid, and not because he doesn't have any clients, but because he's having the thought that he has imposter syndrome. So then we can start working on perhaps changing his thoughts about his new marketing agency. And you will discover that sometimes you don't have to change your thoughts. Sometimes when you recognize that you are having a thought that is causing you to feel a certain way, sometimes that kind of awareness is enough to stop and reset the model that you have been running in your mind. Sometimes that awareness and understanding is enough to shift your focus. When you are not aware that you are thinking and feeling in a certain pattern, you cannot change it. But sometimes creating awareness around a model you have been running subconsciously, that is enough to change it right on the spot. Sometimes the intensity of your opinions and thoughts makes it difficult to separate a circumstance from a thought. So what you can do is to bring yourself to the point where you ask yourself, is this problem or situation true? Is it factual to say that this person said something to me or did something? And just asking if it is factual, it can neutralize a very intense situation, because once you recognize the actual facts, you can ask yourself, and what did I think when this person said those words or when they did this action? Sometimes when you can see neutral circumstances against your thoughts, you will begin to understand how much choice you have in deciding what you think about any circumstance. You get to decide what to think. You want to bring yourself to the point where you know you cannot control another person. You cannot control the circumstance, but you can absolutely control what you think. And if you are thinking negative thoughts about your circumstances, like, oh, I hate this person, or that person doesn't care about me, those thoughts will lead you down a road of reaction, of frustration and pain. So you want to see that you can change your thoughts right there. Even in that moment, you will begin to understand your own power over your thoughts in any circumstance. So, for example, when people say something to you, you don't need to describe their tone. We don't need your interpretation of what other people meant by what they said, because that's not a fact. Your interpretation about someone else's tone, body language, or meaning is just an opinion, is just a thought. Occasionally, you will discover that there are parts of you that really don't want to accept the distinction between your circumstances and your thoughts. And this is a problem with most people who don't understand the process of coaching, because sometimes there are parts of us that think that our thoughts are the facts of a situation. And if we think our thoughts are facts, then we won't be able to change them. Now, how do we know a thought is not a fact? It's very simple. You ask yourself, if I were to ask all my family and friends, who agrees with this thing I believe is a fact? So if you know that people might have a different opinion and you cannot prove that fact in a court of law, then you know you are just having a thought, an idea, an opinion, or a belief, but not an actual external circumstance. And the reason why you want to show yourself that it's just a thought is so you can see where your power is. So it's not because you should change the thought, the opinion, the belief. This is really important. You never have to change a thought you don't want to think, because you have your own power, your own agency, and you get to decide what to think on purpose. So if you want to believe that someone else is a horrible person and that they don't care about you, or maybe you want to keep choosing to believe that you have imposter syndrome, or that starting and growing a business is really hard, then you, 100%, you can choose to keep thinking that. But what I want you to see through this coaching process is that your thoughts are a choice. And we want to make sure that if you are thinking those thoughts, that you are doing it consciously and on purpose. And most of the times, when you develop this insight, it's easier to begin to relax, because you begin to reduce the emotional impact of your thoughts about circumstances and facts. So the process of coaching is to help you with that, because we are not here to change other people or external circumstances that you cannot control. That's never going to work, even though we know that that's what you really want to do with so many circumstances, because there is always a part of the brain that wants to justify how you are feeling. But we also know that if we are here, it's because we want to feel better. And in order to feel better, you're going to look at your thought process so you can decide if you want to continue thinking a certain thought or change it. One of the most common questions I get is, can I start at any category or component of the model and work my way forward or backward? And the answer is yes. You can come with a problem, with a situation, and you can grab one thing. You can grab a circumstance, a thought, a feeling, an action, a result. You put it in the model, and then you are going to ask all the questions around that to fill in the rest of your model. Your homework for this training is to start practicing your own self-coaching process. As you start doing the work, you'll see how easy it is to help yourself get insights and awareness around how you can change and improve your life. It doesn't matter where you start in a model. You just pick a category or component and you start right there. Now, prepare yourself, because sometimes many of you come with a bunch of problems and situations all at once. That's totally okay. You grab one piece of any problem. There is no right thing to grab or a better thing to start with. You pick one. And as soon as you do that, you remove the rest of your problems and situations out of your conscious awareness. Because if you don't do that, you'll probably get overwhelmed. Your only job is to grab one piece out of a problem. You put it in a model, and then you finish the model. The rest of the process will take care of itself. And if it doesn't, you do another model and another model and another one. This is how you begin to create clarity and awareness around what your brain has been doing to you, both consciously and subconsciously. A lot of people believe that by doing a model around a problem will give you validation. We are not doing this work to validate you when you are in an emotional problem with yourself. This self-coaching process is not about validating your feelings. We are simply here to see how the way that you are thinking is affecting how you are feeling. So you can acknowledge the way you are feeling. We are not denying the emotion and its energy and vibration around your body. We are not here to validate that a circumstance is the cause of your feelings, because circumstances don't create feelings. Only your thoughts create your own feelings. Anytime you have adjectives or adverbs, you don't have facts. You have descriptions of facts. Okay, so every one of you watching this training needs to do this work for yourself. Obviously, you can also bring it to your coaching sessions so we can see where you are giving your power away and where you are empowering yourself by taking control of your conscious decisions. Sometimes at the beginning, you don't even have to do self-coaching. You can simply start by identifying a problem or a situation you are dealing with, and you fill in a model. Just ask yourself questions and fill in the model. You don't even have to discuss it afterwards. You can just witness your own brain. The goal is for you to recognize circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result, and you put it in a model. That is all you need to be able to do when it comes to working with a self-coaching model. If you are working with me as your coach or someone else, we can go in much deeper ways. But to be able to fill in a model completely is the skill that you have to develop from the beginning. And the only way that you are going to know how to do it is by practicing it and doing it over and over again. Just remember not to judge, criticize, blame, or justify yourself. That is not the goal. Do not worry about which things you are going to be grabbing. You just pick one and you ask questions to yourself so you can fill in the rest of the model. Pick one thing, a thought, a feeling, action, result, or a fact, the circumstance, and fill in the model. Your job is to take problems and put them into models in your mind and to create solutions from those models. With practice, you'll discover that all solutions, all the coaching process, all problems and situations are handled in the thought line. We never try to change results, actions, or feelings without changing our thoughts. Otherwise, you might find yourself taking action or trying to create results from a cognitive dissonance. All the power to change yourself and your life, all the power to solve your problems, and all the power to create results comes from the thought line. If you are coaching yourself through a problem and you ask yourself, well, why are you feeling that way? Why don't you just change how you feel? And if you don't know that the reason you are feeling that way is because of your thoughts, then you are not going to be able to change. So you have to work from the thought line. When you put a model together, your goal is to witness the power of your thoughts. As a coach, I don't even have to get you to change the thought. I just have to show you that you could. I can give you some samples and make you aware that you could be thinking something else in the exact same circumstance. And then you will change your thoughts or you won't. But first, we want to understand the power of your thoughts and give you the awareness that you have the conscious choice to choose what you want to think. I can tell you that most people don't know that their thoughts create their feelings, actions, and results, and that they have a choice to think deliberately and to change what they are thinking. This is why at the beginning you need to be a little methodical, and it could feel a bit awkward when it comes to asking questions to yourself and going through the model. And it's totally okay, because if you get to consciously experience how your thoughts create your feelings, actions, and results, even if you do it awkwardly, it can change your life. So it doesn't matter what order you do it in. You just got to get a model filled out. And here are the basic questions. So we said, what are the circumstances of this problem or situation? What are the facts? And that's what you put in the C line. Then, what are you thinking about the problem or situation? What are you thinking that is causing you to feel this way? Those are the questions for the thought line, the T line. And then, what are you feeling? What is the one word emotion that you are feeling? That's how you get the F line. When you think this way, how do you feel? What do you feel? What is one word that describes how you are feeling? And then you ask, when you feel this way, what do you do? Or what actions do you do when you want to avoid feeling that way? And when you do that, what are the results that you get? That is a self-coaching model. That's how you fill it in, and do not make it more complicated. So that is your homework. You can use the model applied to relationships, to money, to the things you do to avoid feeling a certain feeling. You can apply it to anything. And this is where you start. So you practice creating models. The more models you can do, the better, because it will give you more awareness about the power of your thoughts and how you can choose to think more intentionally. Start asking questions to yourself, and feel free to bring your models to your coaching sessions. So that's all I have for you today.